So I have just bought a sample library containing ambient sounds. Now before we get into the details, I would like to play some presets from this library and then ask you a question. I have a very special and particular reason for wanting to do this, which we'll get to, of course, in a few minutes. I have also got a coupon for you. It's not just for this sample library, but for others as well. So for more details about that, keep watching. Let's hear the presets. So here's the first preset, and I'm going to start by playing just one note. That's a nice atmospheric pad. Let's try playing a couple of notes up here. Very organ-like. Here's the second one. One note only. Very soundscapey. Noise, and there's a hum or something in the background. Let's try a couple of notes. Oh, it's going up in pitch now. And it's still going. So that's another one which evolves. Next one note. So there's a pitch there somewhere down there, with the ambient noise on top. Let's try a lower note. Oh, that's really rumbly. One note. Oh, this is another big deep sound. Evolving. I could just play this and listen to this. It's just evolving, changing. Oh, that's wonderful. Try this lower down. Probably blow your speakers. Watch out. Atmospheric. Wonderful. Next, one note. What is this? Sounds a bit like a Brahms. A gentle Brahms. Lower down. Oh, higher up. Interesting. Sort of rolling sound. Let's add some higher notes. Oh, there's the pitch, and the sort of ambient noise soundscape thing comes in after it. Okay. Just one more. One note. It's sort of like a harmonics from a string section. Try to slow it down. Together. So I hope you found those interesting, and the question I would like to ask you is, I know there were only a few presets there, but based on those, would you be interested in learning more about this library? Or do you think, nah, they're just, common old garden ambient samples? So interested in learning more, or nah? Hold that thought, because I have another question for you in a few minutes. So the sample library is called Supercluster from Soundpaint. Now Soundpaint is a totally free sample playback engine. It comes with a very interesting piano sample library, and there are 2 additional what I call hidden free sample libraries that you can get for it. Now I'm not going to go into much more detail about Soundpaint than that, because I have made another video about it, which you can see up there, and there will be a link to it in the description. But essentially, as this is free, I think you should just go out and get it. Now, of course, to go with the sample playback engine, the company has produced many sample libraries which are on sale, and Supercluster, as it says in the title of this video, costs $20. Now, the unique feature of Supercluster is the origin of the sounds of the samples came from outer space. So even if you don't have a degree in any sort of science, you probably know that sound waves require some sort of medium to travel through. They can travel through air, they can travel through water, they can travel through solids, but space is a vacuum and they can't travel through a vacuum, which is why in space no one can hear you scream. But about 20 years ago, NASA discovered that many celestial bodies emitted an electromagnetic radiation, and they were able to capture this. Now, these vibrated a much lower frequency than we can detect with our ears. Just to give you an example, and this is probably the most famous example, NASA recorded the radiation coming from a black hole. And the wavelength was so long it almost defies comprehension. If we think that the lowest sound we can hear is around 20 Hertz, that's 20 cycles per second. If we take a sine wave, that is one cycle of a sine wave, using my finger as a whiteboard. If that sine wave repeats or vibrates at 20 times per second, then that is just about the lowest note we can hear. So in other words, one cycle of that sine wave would take around 1/20th of a second. Now the cycle of the waveform from the black hole is around 10 million years. So to put this into some sort of musical context, if you had a piano keyboard which was around 12 yards long, then the lowest note on that keyboard would be approximately what this black hole is playing. Now obviously we can't hear waves vibrating at such a low frequency. So what NASA did, and what the clever people at Soundpaint have done, is to take these frequencies and transpose them upwards to bring them into a range that we can hear. In the case of the black hole, this would require a transposition of something like 57 octaves. Now, I find this absolutely fascinating. I have to say, as a kid, I was really interested in astronomy. I was very curious about the planets and the solar systems and the stars, and quite possibly from that I became interested in science fiction. I was really curious about what could possibly be out there. And now NASA and Soundpaint have transformed celestial vibrations or sound waves or radio emissions or whatever into a sound we can hear, we can play with. we can create music and compositions with. Now, I think this is beyond cool, and this just speaks to me enormously, perhaps because of my childhood interest in space and the stars, galaxies and celestial phenomenon. But when I knew that the origin of these samples came from outer space, I knew it was something which I definitely wanted to explore further. So I have a couple more things to say about this, but let's get back to Soundpaint and Supercluster and hear some more sounds. So this is Soundpaint, and what we have been listening to so far are what it calls programs. Now, programs can consist of up to 4 parts. You can see this one has 3 parts, and you can switch between programs and parts here. So this is the first program in the list, and this is the black hole, or a black hole, and I'll just play this. It's just a very low note. Well, I say very low, it's just you can hear it sort of pulsating a little bit. That would just make an absolutely super bass note or a bass drone. And of course you can play it higher up the keyboard if you wish. So you can see it, the programmers have added a bit of an effect to that as well. Very nice. Okay, so let's have a look and a listen at the parts, because these form the basis of the programs. So these are the raw samples, if you like. They're not exactly raw, as you'll hear when we get to play them. So this has currently got 3 parts to create the program we just heard. So we can clear this by clicking on this little X, playing the keyboard, nothing happens, no part has been selected. So these are the parts which you can select by clicking on them, and there are around 100, and some are really interesting and fascinating. Now, I actually haven't been through every single one, but let's just pick 1 or 2 which sound interesting, and let's hear what they sound like. So this one is the Magellan Cloud. And I'm just holding down 1 note, which is a B flat below middle of C. The sound of the universe, B flat. So that's a nice hollow ambient sound. Let's try a chord or 2. Nice, like that. This is the sound of a star forming. Now, I don't think there are any effects on that. They should maybe add reverb to them, but that's something you can do. Add reverb to anything and it really sounds spacey. This one is called Views in Hubble from the Space Telescope. It sounds like something's going on in space, and it's modulating, it's evolving. I'm just holding down 1 note again. It's playing different notes. Nice, nice. This one is Able 39. I don't know if that's a star or a cluster or a galaxy. Let's have a listen. Ah, it's lovely. Again, they haven't added any effects to these. I think maybe they thought it would be cheating if they added reverb to these as well, but this is easy to add in the effects section. Then a chord. This one is Andromeda, and I do know that it is our nearest galaxy. It's a very spacey sound. Well, they're all spacey sounds. I keep saying that and I'm just running out of adjectives to describe them. So there are actually sounds or radiation which have been recorded from the planets in our solar system. This one is from Mercury. It's another nice bass drone. Try this lower. Oh, well, that is so low you may not be able to hear that. Higher up. Very organy. Let's see if we can find another. Oh, this one is the moon. Oh, listen, I could just imagine this is the sort of sound the moon might make. It's cold, it's distant, it's empty. Oh, it's decreasing in pitch. It sounds like it's crying. Oh, I'm just holding down one note and the thing is evolving. It's just doing this by itself, one note, that's all I'm holding down. I think that is just such an empty sound. It's wonderful. Let's try another one. This one is Pluto. Sort of pulsing a little bit. I'm playing the notes, by the way, it's not doing it automatically. This one is Saturn. Another organ type sound. So you could almost write an orchestral piece with some of these samples, or at least an organ piece. Right. This is Solar Wind. One note. It does sound windy, doesn't it? It does sound like wind. Sound very fast, very furious wind. That's a higher pitch played up the keyboard. That's a low note. Awesome. Right. Now I want to move on to 8 very special parts. So unlike the other parts, which you can play across the entire keyboard, there are 8 parts prefixed with the word universe, and these have a different sample attached to every key, or the majority of the keys. So I'm just going to play a chromatic scale down the keyboard and we can hear what each of the samples sounds like. that's nice. Okay, so that is just the top octave. So you can imagine there are 8 of these, and they each have a sample assigned to most of the keys. So there's what, 300 or 400 different samples. And as is the way with Soundpaint, you can actually pick a sample from this collection and play it across the entire keyboard. So that gives you access to hundreds more sounds. Let's have a look at one which I wanted to show you in particular. So emissions, I think, is the sound of the space station, or one of the space stations orbiting the Earth. So let's see what some of these samples sound like. Again, just one note. That sounds like space static. I'm just going to play a few chromatic notes going down the keyboard. More space static. The hum of motors, perhaps. Again, these individual samples, they still evolve, some of them. So, of course, you can play several of these samples together, and I have absolutely no idea what this is going to sound like, but I'm going to give this a try using this particular part. I've took my finger off the sample that was playing the drone. I've put it back now. So anyway, you can see in here that just using one part you can build up your own very, very complex soundscapes. And we haven't even applied any effects to them. What did you think of that? Now, according to Soundpaint, these samples have been enhanced. I think that was their word for it. And I'm not surprised if they have been manipulated in some way to make them playable in a modern music or ambient context. So I'm very happy with that. But to think that in some way the essential origin of these samples came from outer space is just mind-blowing. At least for me. And it really created an affinity for these sounds. I just want to sit in my room and make space music for the next 6 months. I probably won't. So in honor of Supercluster, I wanted to wear something which is a little bit spacey, but this is the closest I've got. We have the sun, which is not a planet, it's a star, but this is the closest to outer space I could get. I really wanted a video with one of those atomic symbols on. I think they look really cool. So I have to follow this up with another question, and that is, now that you know the origin of these sounds, does that in any way make you more interested in finding out more about them? For me, yes, of course it did. I knew this was a sound library I had to have, but I'm curious about whether I am alone in being attracted to these sounds. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Let me know what you think in the comments if you would be so kind. Now, I said I had a coupon for you, and I do. All you have to do is to click the relevant link in the description. This will give you a $15 credit off any Soundpaint instrument, not just Supercluster. I have to say, if you buy something, then I also get a credit. I'm not sure if this is a 100% affiliate link or not. I tend to think of affiliate links as something which benefits the channel. It doesn't benefit the buyer other than supporting the channel, which is a nice aim in itself. Now, I have not yet put any affiliate links on anything in my channel. That was not why I started this channel. But because you are getting something, $15, I thought this was worth putting in. So if you want to use it, feel free to do so. I have to say it runs out, I think, at the beginning of October, so if you are watching this video from sometime in the future, it will probably not be valid, although if another one does pop up, I will put that in its place. If you do use it, then please tell me what sample library you got and what you think of it. So that's it for this video. I hope you found it interesting, entertaining, inspiring. That is the aim after all. And if you did, if you are not already a subscriber, perhaps I could persuade you to click the big red button and ring the bell. Thank you. So YouTube will tell you whenever I release a new video. And if you would be kind enough to click the big thumb, that also helps. I think it helps with the algorithm, but more to the point, it lets me know that you enjoyed the video or not, depending on which thumb you click on, and that helps me produce more content, which I hope you will continue to watch and enjoy. As always, I really appreciate you spending time watching my videos, so for that, thank you very much indeed. I will see you somewhere out there very soon.